Thank you for joining us today. Today we will be discussing Azure Security. This is a topic we could spend an entire day going through, probably even a week, to cover all the security within Azure. However, being that we focused the entire month on Azure, this is course 4 of the series, and we'll be wrapping up this series by discussing the security within Azure. Today we will cover as much as possible within security by trying to keep it as high level as possible. And our topics today are going to include general security like Active Directory, backups, industry compliance, and monitoring and analysis. Before we get into these topics, let's discuss a little bit about the company. Opal has approximately 20 team members with a wide variety of technical expertise and certifications. Opal is also a Silver Enterprise Partner and CSP with Microsoft, and Opal strives hard to serve as an extension of your team, helping you to design and deliver technology solutions to help you anticipate and overcome business challenges. With 2 offices on the East Coast, Opal provides quick and reliable products and service throughout the United States. Opal is able to provide one stop for your technology needs, whether looking for enterprise-level hardware, SMB equipment, or even certified pre-owned. Opal can provide the equipment to meet your needs. Opal also provides CSP licensing on Microsoft applications while also customizing any software to meet your needs. Finally, Opal's network services team provides the expertise and knowledge to design, upgrade, and support your entire infrastructure. With Opal's team monitoring and maintaining your network, you will have the latest security protection and meet the industry verified compliances you need. Without further delay, I am Jay Hess, Vice President of Opal Business Solutions. Let's begin our presentation. Since many of you are anxious to learn about the security features within Azure, let's jump right in and begin. Microsoft has made great effort to ensure your data is protected. From development cycles, internal audits, to state-of-the-art data centers and penetration testing, Microsoft has made sure they are providing industry-leading security within Azure. Azure offers built-in advanced threat detection functionality through services such as Azure Active Directory, Azure Log Analytics, and Azure Security Center, just to name a few. So let's talk first about Azure Active Directory Identity Protection. Azure Active Directory Identity Protection is more than a monitoring and reporting tool. Based on risk events, Identity Protection calculates a user risk level for each user so that you can configure risk-based policies to automatically protect the identities of your organization. Part of the main feature of Azure is automating the workloads to do this type of activity. This includes automating security. With Identity Protection, you will detect risk events during login and establish custom procedures for when certain events occur. There are algorithms and artificial intelligence will investigate those risks and assign it a risk level. And upon certain levels that you reach, you'll get notified. Those policies you created are then activated. And one such policy can be to require additional login requirements for these risk events, like using multi-factor authentication when certain levels are reached. Once again, automating a lot of this workload within the Azure environment for security. Azure Active Directory Privileged Identity Management is another level of security within Active Directory. This leverages Office 365 or Intune in order for you to get alerts and reports about Azure Active Directory administrators and administrative access to Microsoft Online Services. Reports about administrator access history and changes in administrator assignments. Also getting alerts about access to particular privileged roles. Basically, you should never say you did not know something happened on the administrative side of the house, as you can set Azure to send you almost limitless alerts so that you know when things are changed or being requested or being accessed. In addition to that type of protection, Azure has logs. Azure logs almost anything and everything you could want and more within this environment. Now, this is one of those topics that I could spend hours on. As you can see, we have activity logs, diagnostic logs, reporting, virtual machines, and more. There's a series of how you might use it, the log types, and so forth. So I provided a quick chart to show you some of those different log categories, from activity to reporting to storage to applications. As you can see, there's a lot of information here. Azure provides a wide array of configurable security auditing and logging options to help you identify gaps within your own security policies and processes. As a matter of fact, during Microsoft's Ignite conference in 2018, Microsoft had emphasized the importance of data, big data. And this is just an example of how Azure is being used to record the events in order to use data so that your policies and procedures that you have in place can be enhanced today as well as in the future. So you have the access of the Microsoft strength and power behind you to help support the policies and procedures that you put in place. So we had the opportunity to talk a little bit about some general security built around Active Directory. We've also talked a little bit about the Azure login security and even the logs that are built into the platform to further enhance the security within Azure. Now let's talk a little bit about backups. Azure will automatically back up VMs, storage, and files and so forth just natively, but there's so much more to that. So in addition to automatically backing up the data on a VM or in a database by default and encrypting it every bit of the way, you have the capability to utilize so much more. Traditional backup solutions have a tendency to treat the cloud similar to disks or tapes. I guess I just realized that I just dated myself by referring to disks or tapes, and that's fine. But if you're trying to use this approach, you're basically limiting yourself, and you're not taking full advantage of the cloud platform. And by utilizing the cloud as a tape or a disk, what ends up happening is it's expensive. It's not efficient. You end up paying for the wrong type of storage or storage you don't need. You're not being offered the type or amount of storage you need, and your administrative tasks end up taking too much time. You're really not leveraging the tools that are built within Azure to make this more efficient. In contrast, Azure and the Azure backups have a number of key benefits that you can leverage and utilize. You have the automated storage management, so your administrators don't have to perform tedious, unnecessary tasks. We've already talked a little bit about alerts and things like that can be sent, as well as setting up processes that can automatically be triggered. You can do the same thing as it relates to your backups. Unlimited scaling for the high availability. You no longer have to worry about whether or not those backups are going to be available at any time. Will they take a while to get to? You also have local and geo-redundant storage. So not only can you back those up locally, but you can back those up to another location anywhere in the world. You also have unlimited data transfer, and this is where I have to bring up a little word of caution. When you're restoring your data, Microsoft will allow you unlimited data transfers. However, if you start abusing that policy, Microsoft does reserve the right to charge small fees if it starts becoming excessive. The data encryption built within Azure requires you to use locally stored encryption passphrases or keys in order to restore the data. You can leverage Azure's application consistency backups so that when you restore an application and its database, it knows where to start at any given point so that you have data. You don't have to worry about building your data over and over to continuously go back during testing or rollouts. And speaking of those data points and data restore points, Microsoft has long-term retention built within Azure. Any given protected storage can have up to 9,999 data restore points at any given time before you have to start removing any and getting rid of any. So those are just some of the features that are built within Azure's backup system to help protect your data, help recover your data, and make sure that your data is available to you at all times. Now, I know that's a lot of information, and that's really just the tip of the iceberg for backups. But hopefully you feel secure that Microsoft is backing up your data, giving you a number of ways to back up that data. But what you don't realize is with all those different ways to back up the data, protect it, the next step would be determining what backup to use for Azure to make sure you're getting the most security as well as the best protection for the type of data you have. Once again, this is another area that we can talk about for a long time, but I've provided once again a quick chart to try to help explain some of the choices and limitations. And I don't want to focus a lot on choosing the type of backup, as once again we're trying to focus more on the security side and what's available and how they protect it. But just to give you an idea, you can see within the chart, you might use the System Center DPM for application-aware snapshots. Keep in mind that there are some limitations, like you cannot back up Oracle workload. The System Center DPM also gives you the capability to use the Recovery Services Vault and recover granularity for all. So then you can also look down a little bit further and you can see you also have another application-aware snapshot available to you through Azure Backup Server, Azure IaaS VM backups. So there's a number of things that you want to take a look at, and then also look at the limitations. So, if you're looking for something that's maybe more file related versus an entire VM, you may be looking more at Azure Backup Agents versus an Azure IaaS VM backup, things like that. Once again, with all of these variations that can occur, this is one of those times that it would be good to engage one of Microsoft's over 68,000 partners they have, partners like Opal Business Solutions, so that they can help navigate you through this, and we can, help get you what you need, when you need it, and make sure that you have the right processes in place to back up your data and restore it as effectively and efficiently as you need. Let's shift our focus over to the industry compliance. To help you comply with national, regional, and industry-specific requirements governing the collection and use of individual data, Microsoft offers the most comprehensive set of compliance offerings of any cloud service provider. No matter what industry you are engaging, Microsoft has a series of templates, guides, and best practice white papers to help provide you guidance along the way for you to follow. From global standards like ISO 9001, ISO 27018, to industry standards like FFIEC, GLBA, MPAA, or SOX. Government standards like FERPA, DFARS, IRS 1075, to more regional regulations like MTCS and PDPA. These are all available. And you can see that this is just the tip of the iceberg. And as you go through the system, I took this right from Microsoft. You can see that you can click through to help provide you with guidance and steps along the way. They really do try to create a wizard. And if you caught our Series 3, which is available on our YouTube channel, where we actually dove into Azure and the Azure portal and so forth and started navigating around, you can see Microsoft likes to build a number of wizards to help build and maintain a lot of the setup within Azure. This is just another example of that. But once again, with so many choices, this would be another great time to engage a partner with Microsoft so that you can sort through the setup, make sure you're following the compliance and installing it correctly within the Azure environment. Finally, we can discuss monitoring and analysis within Azure. There are a lot of monitoring capabilities in Azure, but let's start within the Azure Security Center. Azure Security Center helps protect your Azure resources. It provides integrated security monitoring and policy management across your Azure subscriptions. Within the service, you can also define policies not only against your Azure subscriptions, but also against your resource groups, providing greater granularity. And once again, as we took a look last week in our third course in this series, we showed you a little bit about the subscriptions and resource groups from within the Azure portal. Security alerts are prioritized in the Security Center along with recommendations on how to remediate the threat. Here you can see the dashboard indicates simple threats by a more common standard of red or green risk level. If we click on the recommendations at the top, it tells us that what we can do to help reduce these threats. With Microsoft's artificial intelligence and the push towards focusing on big data, threats and preventions are identified in ways that manual analysis would not be able to do in the past. So you can see from the screenshot that I've taken, we can see which machines we're monitoring. Are disks encrypted or not? Are there problems? Red means bad, green means good. As simple as that. If there's additional information, you might see it with a blue circle or blue eye. And at the top, we can see the virtual machines and the recommendations, such as on 2 of the 7 VMs, endpoint protection was not installed. On 5 of the 7, it's missing disk encryption. And if we click on those, it tells us further details about what to do and how to correct those. Once again, being new technology and utilizing this platform, make sure you take advantage of all of the expert resources that are available to you that Microsoft does provide. and you'll be able to navigate through this. The telemetry that flows in from these different resources to create this artificial intelligence comes from Azure, Office 365, Microsoft CRM Online, Microsoft Dynamics AX, Outlook.com, MSN.com, the Microsoft Digital Crimes Unit, and Microsoft Security Response Center. They're leveraging everything they have at their disposal. Microsoft's using its global reach to help gather data and display it in a way that's both easy to understand and helpful. Once again, taking all of this data, displaying it on a screen so that you can see there's an evasion technique detected, malicious SQL activity, the successful RDP brute force attack. You can see certain information that Microsoft provides to you in these security alerts on this screenshot. And when you click on it, it gives you even further details. Once again, protecting your data and providing the tools for you to view it and analyze it have become a top priority for Microsoft as they rolled out the Azure platform. In fact, Microsoft even provides analysis tools that you can run with a click of a button. From SQL and network assessments to malware and Active Directory assessments, you have Microsoft's knowledge, artificial intelligence, and big data at your fingertips. It's like having all of those resources from their crime unit, their data that they're collecting at your fingertips. You can go ahead and run the SQL assessment. As you can see, it's free. It's going to assess the risk and health of SQL Server environments. There's a lot of these have now come out. Some of them say coming soon. They're actually now out there. You can see the Azure Networking Analytics that's out there. The security audit is out there. Network Performance Monitoring, same thing. This is a great example of where you can go into a solution from whatever you're looking at within Azure, look for the analysis you'd like to do, click it, run it, and you'll get the information like we've seen on the last couple screenshots telling you red, green, or what to do. Microsoft is always monitoring the Azure platform and protecting your information. They're utilizing firewalls, cloud app security, proxies, logs, artificial intelligence, big data, crimes units, you name it. They're utilizing everything they have at their fingertips and all the resources they have around the world to help protect your data in Azure. They do this not just so that people have the peace of mind, but so that they provide industry-leading security and protection for no matter what you put out into Azure. Basically, with Microsoft, they want to make sure that you have all the protection you need so that you can feel secure placing anything into Azure. At this time, like with all of our other sessions, I would like to go through and scroll through the chat sessions off to the right and see if there are any questions out there and answer those at this time. So please use the chat box to the right if you have not already done so throughout the presentation. And let's see here. Give me a moment while I sort through this. A couple of those have already been answered. Is there any special pricing for some of these features? As I mentioned, I don't know when this really came up as a question, so I'm going to do my best to answer that. But as I mentioned, a lot of this is free, from the SQL assessments to the auditing and so forth that is available within the on-demand center for solutions. you can just click and utilize those. It's just a matter of really installing it and getting it to run. In terms of retrieving data to do your restores and backups, as I mentioned, the unlimited data transfer is free to be able to restore your data. And then in terms of Azure itself, as we covered last week, Azure is a pay-as-you-go kind of platform. So the more storage and resources you use, obviously that will affect your price. But being that it is scalable, you only pay for what you do use. So if your traffic and your data transfer is not heavy one day, obviously you're not paying for unused capabilities that are just sitting there being unused. So hopefully that answered that question a little bit. All right, well, at this time, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. That was the last in the series of Azure. Next month, we will be focusing on tips and features within the Office 365 suite, everything from tips and tricks in Word to tips and features within Excel, and then we'll do tips and features within Outlook and PowerPoint as well. So we look forward to seeing you there. In the meantime, if there's anything you missed or you want to go back and catch any of our previous presentations, please remember to go visit our YouTube channel for Opal Business Solutions. Thank you again and have a great day.